Welcome. This is all minus one quick shots. So, folks, today is the day, January 6th, the only day that really matters for the election. Now, we could make the argument that the deadline for the states, the legislatures to certify their elections was a big deal. We could make an argument that the actual vote, that is the popular vote that dictates to each state what electorates they'll send, was a big deal. But the reality is that the certification on the election happens on a federal level by the Congress and the Senate. So, predictions. Well, for today, I think there are a lot of hopeful Trump voters out there that believe that Mike Pence will object to things and that the Senate will hold their ground and that Donald Trump may still remain the president. I am highly doubtful because the system is utterly corrupt. Now, if you take into account that I can't say particular things about the election on YouTube, I can say that there was targeted fraud, potentially, but I cannot say that there was widespread fraud. And I think targeted is actually the way that it goes. That seems to be the case. The media establishment was talking about this long before the election. They were talking about the Red Mirage. They were talking about not wanting or needing voter ID, of course, all these things that allow fraud, that allow an unsecure election. When you take into account all of that, and then you see that President Trump got 74 million votes, and there was only something like 56 million left of the registered voters, and somehow Joe Biden pulled out another 25 million or whatever it was. That's a little suspicious. But regardless, folks, the system is utterly corrupt, and you should expect there to be a Joe Biden presidency. Now, I didn't like coming to that perspective until a few weeks ago. It just seemed like that was the case because the courts just kept dismissing anything and everything. The left was going to say, oh, there is no evidence, even though they went on for 4 years about Russian collusion, which was more likely English collusion. It was more likely Chinese interference. It's not really what you think it is because the media is a game of smoke and mirrors most of the time. Now, with all that, I want to make some predictions here on how 2020 is going to play out, because what we're going to see is most likely, and I've stated this before, is more lockdowns. We're going to see more shutdown of businesses. We're going to see the rich corporate businesses or affluent people, the people that essentially dictate to you how you should be thinking. We're going to see them run rampant. We're going to see more corporatism. We're going to see taxes get raised on everybody, including the middle class, except for the most upper elite class, and they will be exempt in certain ways, as they typically always are. We're going to continue to see that as well as the Great Reset come in. Now, Joe Biden's administration, through John Kerry, has admitted publicly that they are all for the Great Reset. The Federal Reserve Bank has inflated the monetary supply up to 33%, and the latest numbers say 66%. That is all money ever printed since the 1970s, since the doing away with of Bretton Woods has been printed in the last year. 66% of all money since then. That means massive inflation is coming. The only reason to do this is to destroy the dollar and to bolster up the big multinational corporations that get this money in the first place. And if you look at the Federal Reserve Bank's projections for fiscal year 2021, they plan to do the same thing again this entire year. So again, what does all this mean? Well, it means we're going to hit hyperinflation within the next 2 or 3 years. Perhaps we can correct that. Perhaps that path will change. But unless we get on some sort of commodity standard, that is the way it's going to go, which means that the middle class will be completely destroyed and we will have an absolute two-tier system without social mobility. This is not good, folks. This is horrible for your average citizen. This is horrible for just about everybody. You're going to see medical practices shut down. This will happen. And therefore, there will be a call within the Congress and the Senate to take over medicine even more. Medicare for all, if you would, which does nothing but just add to our national debt, as it is the number one expense in the United States budget. Second only comes Social Security. It's social programs that always cost the most. But it doesn't matter because you will own nothing and you will like it, according to the World Economic Forum. And the point is to bring in some sort of amalgamation of communism and corporatism, which we could just call fascism, because that's pretty much what fascism always is and always was. We have a centralized bank. We've had a centralized bank since 1913. That is not a free market, folks. That is not capitalism. This isn't end-stage capitalism. This is controlled and planned and is very much driven by global elitists who want a one-world government. Now, if you're a Christian, you understand that this is something that is spoken about in the Bible, in the book of Revelations. It's also talked about in Daniel, but specifically in the book of Revelations, that no man would buy or sell unless they worship the beast. Well, what is the beast? The beast is the nation state. That's what it is. It's nothing else. It's not the Antichrist. All right? That would be the false prophet, if you would. And sorry to my Catholic listeners, but I believe that is the papacy and always has been. But you can be a Catholic without being a part of the papacy, mind you. And there are Christian Catholics, but there are plenty of Catholics that are not Christians, just like there are plenty of so-called Christians in other denominations. Christ preached about this in numerous parables. One of them specifically was the wheat and the tares, or the wheat and the weeds. There would be people within the church who pretended to be in the church who weren't actually part of the church. In any case, I digress. So just be aware, folks, that there are hard times coming. You need to start thinking about how you are spending your money and investing your money, meaning you should be worried about supplies, food, for you to suffer the future. You should, plan to be able to leave your area if you need to be, depending on the kind of area that you live in. If you have the money, I would highly suggest, getting some land in the middle of nowhere. Maybe you're not as keen on homesteading as I am, but, what do you want to be a part of? Do you want to be a part of this system, this world? Do you want to be encapsulated by these technocrats, these plutocrats that wish to dictate to you how to live? Klaus Schwab specifically has said in his book that he wants a stakeholder capitalism. Now, let me break that down for you. Stakeholder capitalism means that only those who are rich, who are actually involved in owning the stocks and running the corporations, get a say. See, this is a form, if you would, of neo-feudalism. This is what we're returning to. It's what we're trying to return to. People don't understand that there's only two systems. There's authoritarianism and there's libertarianism, or freedom. That's it. Everything else is a matter of an argument of the means in which you get there. And to them, it doesn't matter about the means. It's only the ends. And the ends for them is justified that because they are the smart ones. They are the ones who know what they're doing. And they will sell you all kinds of stuff. They'll sell you the COOF. They'll sell you global warming. They'll sell you everything. They'll sell you that the Federal Reserve Bank and other centralized banking systems based on fiat systems stabilize the currency. They do not. They destabilize it. They make it worse. And I know there's somebody out there who's going to go, historically, there runs on the bank and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, they were artificial. And the economic impact were not nearly as bad when we still were tied to a gold standard. 2021 is not going to be much better, folks. And I hate to be so pessimistic. I really do. But it's not that I'm trying to be pessimistic. I actually have a lot of hope in a lot of things. I just want you to be prepared, because if one thing is for certain that I'm aware of, is that if you are not prepared and you are not proactive, this will hit you psychologically like a ton of bricks. This is how you develop things like PTSD, post-traumatic stress syndrome, because you were confronted with something that is so heinous that you were never prepared for mentally, spiritually, emotionally, however you would like to put it. You will not understand what has happened to you, and many of you will have gone along with it. Now, right now, lastly, there is the Georgia runoff, and it seems the Democrats will win. So with that, a Democratic House and Joe Biden, look, I've said it over and over again. The American Republic was destroyed in the Civil War But if there was any vestige of it left, which I think that there was, it was destroyed by FDR. And we have never returned since. Since FDR, the New Deal, and World War II, we have never returned. We have been a globalist system ever since. We have been the global leaders. We are de facto the UN armed forces. And this is just a biblical prophecy to my mind. And like I said, you need to be prepared. So this Georgia runoff thing, whatever, it is what it is. Same with if Biden gets in. Now, I could be wrong, and perhaps it is Donald Trump who will win, but I'm highly, highly skeptical, despite all of the people that are so optimistic. And with all that said, folks, that's about all I have. This has been All Minus One Quick Shots, and I wish you all well.